to my Mompreneur studio. I'm Anissa Crespo. This episode of She Swaps, I am talking to Trista Goforth, and she is an empowerment and mindset coach for women. Trista, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what inspired you to become an empowerment and mindset coach, and who you help and how you help them.
All right. Thank you so much, Anissa. So I started my journey about 12 years ago. I grew up um, in a family that, working family, and both my parents struggled with addiction. And then suddenly my father passed away when I was 10. So my mom kind of spiraled into more drinking. So as I grew up, as you may know, as if we see our parents doing something, we naturally just do it too. So at a young age, I got into drinking and smoking marijuana, and it just became, even though I did well in school, I suppressed all my emotions, hid from I use substances to relax, to have fun, to deal with my problems. And by the time I was in my 20s, I was just, really tired of feeling out of control. I was tired of feeling like stressed and self-conscious and suffering, like the amount of suffering that I went through with what was going on in my head. And I knew, like, something told me that there has to be a better way to live. Like, I know that I can feel better. So I started my journey of just diving into self-development books and courses and audios, and understanding the mind and how to detach from the mind and what the ego was. And as I learned these empowering just knowledge and wisdom, I started to wake up from living on autopilot and being so dependent on drugs and alcohol to uh, I guess, regulate. And I just had started to get more peace and happy. And as I learned things, I just started to share with people. And most of the people I talked to had never heard of what I had learned. So over the years, I just continued to share. And then finally, a few years ago, I decided that I was going to start to help women in a more professional way, and I started a newsletter, and I started writing a book, which I'll be finished this year, and started coaching and helping women. When I see women who struggle with what I struggled with, it's just natural. I just feel this natural pull to help them and empower them, and to help them see how powerful they really are and how much more joy they can have in their life. So that's kind of how I got here. It was just my pain that I grew up with and dealt with for so long. And I knew after I healed myself, and it's a healing process, like I'm still working through things, but I have come so far, and I'm just have so much more peace and joy than I ever did before, and control. And I'm now sober, 5 years drug free and 2 years sober. So just sharing what has helped me with other women. It's just a passion that won't leave me alone. It's, if you ever had one of those things that just keep knocking on your doors, that squeaky wheel. So that's kind of what it was. So here I am.
Yes, ma'am. I am no stranger to that, and I am no stranger to addiction, and I am no stranger to sobriety. I encompass all of those things, so I love it. Um, yeah, I myself, many family members of mine have struggled with addiction, and some of them have lost their battle. Um, and one of the things that I heard you say was, you have this pain, but you use it to help people. So like there's this stigma where like you said, like when you grow up and you see your parents doing something, you just kind of mimic it a lot of the time. So, and that does happen. And that's where the stigma of like hurt people come from. And I'm like, part of my mission is to change that to hurt people, help people.
Yeah.
Because and I had somebody arguing with me, like on a Facebook post about this one day, and they were like, "How are hurt people going to help people?" And I'm like, "Well, I am living proof of it. I have been through my share of pain, and I use that to help other people because number one, I can empathize. And number two, I want them to experience, as you mentioned, that peace and that joy that comes with that freedom that's lifted once you free yourself of those addictions and those issues. And it goes beyond that, right? Like the addiction is not that's not like the problem. Like the problem is deeper. The addiction is like the symptom. It's like, and it's not talked about enough in our society. We have this huge opiate epidemic, and the fentanyl is just absolutely crazy. It's like in everything nowadays. It used to just be like, in heroin and stuff, but now they're putting it in like cocaine and even like weed and other things. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, police officers are dying because they're trying to help people, that are overdosing, and they touch it and it gets into their skin and they're passing away. Like it's a problem. And, I think that we need to talk about it more in our society. So I commend you for coming on and sharing your story. And also a lot of people are ashamed of sobriety, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Not so much that they're ashamed of sobriety, but they're ashamed of the addiction and the things that they went through before that. And again, I mean, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's like, people go through, I've been through like a weight loss journey. Like I'm not ashamed of, who I was when I was in that. And that's just another addiction, right? Like, um, but yeah, so tell me, so how long exactly have you been like coaching, like in your program of coaching?
I have been professionally coaching about a year.
Okay.
Um, but I started coaching friends like just it's probably been five years that I just started coaching people and being like the go-to person for problems and life advice, and maybe even longer than that. It's funny because I remember in fifth grade, I was talking to a friend, I can't even remember who it was, and they're like, you know what, you should be a psychiatrist. And I feel like I've always just been one to try to find solutions. Like listen to people and like, okay, let's figure this out. So professionally about a year I've been helping coaching, and it just happened. I just made the decision to finally do it.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I hear that. And that's super relatable to me because I'm like in the same way. I feel like pretty much my whole life, even when I was a complete and total mess, people would come to me and for like advice. And I'm like, what are you coming to me for? But it's because I had those life experiences and had been through things that, we can't, it's not always like do what I do. It's kind of like do what I say because I may have the knowledge and not have healed myself enough yet to have implemented it, but I know the right thing to do. I just haven't done it yet, and I've been uh, in those places in my life before, and I'm so grateful for having gone through some of those healing processes because man, what a transformation. I mean, I totally get where you're coming from. So who is your ideal client? Like who do you help? I mean, usually like when some of my clients, they want to become coaches and I ask them like, well, who's your ideal client? And whenever they're not sure, I always say, look in the mirror because usually people that are going to resonate with you are going to be like you or be a different version of you, maybe a version of you that you used to be.
So my ideal is me probably 10 years ago or something.
Right.
And she's in a job that she's unappreciated, she doesn't feel fulfilled. She's either just got out of a not so good relationship or trying to get out of it. Uh, and she just deals with self-worth issues. She also has the tendency to drink and a people pleaser. So a lot of the same things that I struggled with, and that held me back from being authentically me. Um, I think we get in situations, mostly relationships, women, that you kind of have to you start speaking up because you want something, but then when your partner doesn't agree or want to comply, not comply, but work it out, compromise, you kind of hush your voice. So my ideal client is someone who has had her voice quieted, and she sees it as a way of keeping the peace. As we all do. We're be a good girl, right? We're taught that. It's so incredible how, like, much we were taught, and I feel like our generation, it's getting a little bit better, but um to find her voice again. And a lot of times it's leaving that relationship, that toxic relationship that doesn't allow her to be authentically her. And that's something I help with, is helping her leave the relationships. And specifically, I like to work with women who are in a toxic situation at work. It usually, it kind of, everything is kind of like a mirror, right? When we have a toxic relationship with someone, usually we have another one. It's because we tend to put up with things that we really shouldn't. So it's like breaking that habit. Um,
Yeah, 100%. I hear you. It's about boundaries and setting them and then respecting them. And that takes work. I mean, you made a great point. We're people pleasers by nature. We want people to like us. We don't want to say no, but guess what? No is a complete sentence. And it's
yes,
okay to say no. And it's okay, whatever somebody else thinks about you, that's none of your business. Like, that's about them.
yes.
It's important to set your boundaries, respect your boundaries, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It matters what you think. And, I love that. You and I have a lot in common, as a matter of fact.
I love it. I love it. I'm
Yes.
enjoying this. I'm so happy that
Yes,
we
absolutely.
connected.
I really cherish meeting people that can share similar stories. And it's like you said, when you're in this toxicity, sometimes it comes from within ourselves, and we don't even realize that that's what we're putting out into the universe. So that's what we're receiving back in our personal relationships, in our career, just all around us. Sometimes even in our friendships. Sometimes we make friends with these girls and they just treat us like garbage, and we just take it. Why? I don't know, but I could do bad by myself. Like, I don't need help with that. So yeah, I love that you have reached deep down within yourself, did the work, healed. And I mean, I don't really like to use the word healed like past tense, because it's not a destination, it's a journey, and we're working on things every single day. And we have to be cautious about the way we speak to ourselves, and not just other people. Like, everybody, we live in this society now where, like, everybody's so afraid to offend everybody else, but then we do this self-sabotage, and, like, the way we speak to ourselves is not kind. And we need to be definitely a little bit kinder to other people, but a lot kinder to ourselves. It's so important. I just love that. So I'm going to make sure that any links that you have shared with me, I will share to the audience. But where, just at a glance, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, Trista Goforth, just simple, Trista Goforth, my name. And I do have a group on Facebook. It's called the Sober Soul Sisters for Success. And you don't have to be sober to join it, but it's all about tapping into your power to create more success. Um, but yeah,
Trista, what a blessing it was having you come on today. I really appreciate you sharing your journey with us. And I look forward to some more conversations with you, because there will be more.
yes. Thank you so much for having me, Anissa.
Absolutely. Take care.